Tokyolive
Endoscopy
Endoscopy 1.
So next session is talking about gastric cancer. Moderator is Dr. Manabu Onimaru from Showa University Kototes Hospital. He is a specialist of gastric cancer surgery. So Dr. Onimaru, please.
Thank you very much for introducing me, Professor Inoue. It's an honor for me to moderate this session. So the commentator for this session is Professor Mario Denis Ribeiro from Portugal. As you all know, Professor Mario is well known as a leader in the field of endoscopic diagnosis and therapeutic endoscopy in Europe and internationally, and served as president of ESGE from 2019 to 2021. Professor Mario, thank you very much for joining us today. So first, let me introduce today's speaker, Dr. Tomohiko Moriyama. Dr. Tomohiko Moriyama is currently an associate professor at the Department of Medicine and Clinical Sciences, Graduate School of Medical Sciences, Kyushu University, Fukuoka, Japan, and also a director of Telemedicine Development Center of Asia, TEMDEC, in Kyushu University Hospital. He graduated in 1996 and earned a PhD from Kyushu University. His specialty is particularly in the diagnosis and treatments of early gastrointestinal cancers and inflammatory bowel diseases. He has made many academic contributions in the field of gastroenterology with a lot of authored scientific papers and as a certificate board of academic societies. And it should be noted that he has also been serving as a vice director since 2017 and as a director since 2021 of the Telemedicine Development Center of Asia, TEMDEC, at Kyushu University, which provides telemedicine support systems such as international webinars, live demonstrations, and international conferences. This Endoscopy 1 2022 is also being broadcast with the support of TEMDEC. And we'll also have a debate session on telemedicine scheduled for the second day of Endoscopy 1 2022. Of course, he will participate in the session as a discussant. So today, he will giving us a lecture on gastric cancer titled Fundamental Skill for Early Gastric Cancer Detection in AI Era. Dr. Moriyama, please start your presentation.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Onimaru, for your nice, kind introduction. And also, I really appreciate to Dr. Denis Ribeiro and Dr. Inoue for giving me this opportunity to talk in this great webinar. Okay, this data is from Polish national database. This shows that about 5.7% of gastric cancer is missed during endoscopic exam. Of course, as you know, artificial intelligence can improve this miss ratio. But before installing it, we should consider its cost first. I'm not sure how much it costs, but anyway, we should pay some additional costs to install this novel system in our endoscopy systems. And same as autonomous driving car, which only the people can be responsible for the trouble or issues once something wrong happens. And also we should think about its reliability. This article is from China, one of the leading countries of AI endoscopy. The author stated that more than 80% of the lesion detected by AI is noise, such as light reflections, forms, mucus, ulcer scar, or something like that. And less than 20% is a real lesion. And from these rare lesions, about half of the lesion is taken biopsy. So to avoid and reduce the risk of post-biopsy bleeding from false positive lesion, we should establish our natural intelligence. So before moving to the AI era, I'd like to go back to the basic, and would like to talk about the fundamental skill for early gastric cancer diagnosis. First, this is algorithm of the endoscopic screening. So we should wash the mucosa for the high quality endoscopy with good images. Just after intubating the scope, there are much mucus and forms on the mucosa. So using deforming agents, mucolytic agents, and water, we should remove them. Then we will be able to recognize the subtle change of lesions, such as cancer, inflammation, or something like that. Without washing the mucosa, we can't detect early lesion. Next, we should evaluate the H. pylori status to classify the risk of cancer in patients. Regular arrangement of collecting venue, RAC, is a very good marker for H. pylori negative mucosa. But in evaluating the presence of RAC, we should check the lesser curvature of gastric angle, like this. These are the representative findings of H. pylori infected mucosa. At the left of the photo, we can't detect any folds at greater curvature. This is a mucosa atrophy. And whitish mucosa shows the intestinal metaplasia, and sticky mucus suggests as the chronic inflammation of gastric mucosa. Hyperplastic polyp, xanthoma, nodular changes of the antrum suggest the H. pylori infected mucosa also. After this, we should observe the whole gastric mucosa very carefully. In observation, we should inflate the gastric stomach as much as possible. The tiny lesion sometimes is go behind between the folds like this. So inflating the stomach is very important to watch the whole gastric mucosa. And as you know, the stomach is wide and winding organ, so there are so many blind spots. So to reduce these blind spots, it is very useful to taking many photos at predetermined position. This is a protocol proposed by Dr. Ken Shiao, and he suggested us to take more than 22 photos in one exam, like this. Especially at the posterior wall of corpse, lesser curvature of cardia, greater curvature of fornix, we can miss the tiny lesion. So we should much take care when we watch this area. And also, examination time is very important. In this study, the endoscopists were divided into two groups. One is fast endoscopist group, taking less than 7 minutes in one exam. And another is slow endoscopist group. Comparing these two groups, the slow endoscopist group shows significantly higher ratio of detecting advanced gastric cancer and high-risk gastric lesions like this. So taking more than 7 minutes in one exam is very important. And after that, we should check the surface changes. These are the suspicious findings for early gastric cancer. Slight surface changes, color changes, disappearance of vascular network, changes of light refraction, thickened and irregular fold, spontaneous bleeding, and something like that. In these pictures, all the early gastric cancer is included here. I suppose some of them are easy to be detected, but others are not so easy to be detected. So we should always take care of these kind of subtle changes during endoscopic exam. Linked color imaging, LCI, is one of the novel technology for detecting early cancer. Using this technology, you can detect the early lesion as orange, red, reddish lesion like this. Although the subject of the study includes the esophageal lesion and also duodenal lesion, the author showed the superiority of LCI to white light imaging in neoplasia detection like this. And then I'd like to talk about how to characterize the suspicious lesion. When you see such kind of slight abnormality during the endoscopy, what will you do next? In Japan, chroma endoscopy is very popular. Then I suppose you can see the lesion 1, 2, 3. So chromo is very easy and useful for to detect the lesion and also characterizing the lesion. This meta-analysis shows the superiority of chroma endoscopy to white light image. Sensitivity and specificity of chroma endoscopy is quite high like this. And also based on the endoscopic findings, we can predict the pathology of these lesions. In differentiated adenocarcinoma, usually these lesions shows reddish, having a speculous and clear edge like this. In contrary, in undifferentiated adenocarcinoma, the color of the lesion is reddish or to discolored, sometimes mixed, and its edge is abrupt and unclear sometimes. And we sometimes see the small nodules at the, on the depressed area in undifferentiated adenocarcinoma. Also, magnifying image enhanced endoscopy, IEE, is very useful to characterize a lesion. This protocol is proposed by Japanese experts, and they suggested to find the demarcation line first when you find a suspicious lesion. If the demarcation line is present, we should evaluate the microvascular pattern and the microsurface pattern. If these are the irregular, if these lesions have irregularity, we can diagnose those lesions as cancer. Based on their algorithm, we can diagnose the upper lesion as cancer and the bottom lesion, we can diagnose the bottom lesion as non-cancer. Also, we can distinguish the depressed type of intestinal metaplasia from cancer based on their algorithm. And also, and this is this slide compare the diagnostic accuracy of magnifying IE and CE, chroma endoscopy. Actually, in large lesion, its diagnostic efficacy is the same between magnifying IE and chromo. But in small lesions, magnifying IE is superior to chroma endoscopy. So if you have a good knowledge and enough experience, better to use magnifying IE to characterize a lesion. This is a famous study by Japanese doctors. As you know, the gastric cancer incidence decreased to about 1/3 by H. pylori eradication. So now in the world, many patients with H. pylori are eradicated. But we should take care of the gastric cancer arising after H. pylori eradication. This study shows that about more than 40% of the gastric cancer arising after H. pylori eradication shows a gastritis-like appearance, which means that this lesion can be missed or hard to be detected during endoscopic exam. This is an example of our case. You can see the reddish depressed area at the left top. But by chroma endoscopy, it is very difficult to detect the boundary of the lesion, and also sometimes very difficult to where the lesion is. But using magnifying IE, we can detect the demarcation line and also the irregularity of microvascular pattern and microsurface pattern. The rejected specimen shows that the regenerative mucosa is lying just on the gastric cancer cells. And these kind of changes make those lesions find difficult. Okay, so we all should establish our knowledge and experience to the new and current situation. So for the education, on-site training is very useful and meaningful, but sometimes on-site is intermittent. But nowadays, we can learn and use the online learning system. This is sustainable. Like this Tokyolive webinar and live demo, we can learn a lot from experts. And case discussion is very, connecting institutions is very important to share our knowledge and experience through interesting and rare cases. And some of the teleconference can be available via YouTube or some kind of systems. You can watch those videos whenever you want. Okay, this is my take-home messages. High-quality endoscopy is essential to work with AI. Fundamental skill is important to reduce false positive lesions. Chroma endoscopy and magnifying IE is useful in characterizing suspicious lesions, and to use AI to our advantage, we should establish our knowledge and experience in endoscopy. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for your informative lecture. He simply explained the importance of conventional basic endoscopic diagnosis skills. So we have about 5 minutes for discussion. Now, Professor Mario, could you please comment on this lecture?
Well, first of all, thank you for and congratulations again for organizing this event to Professor Inoue, and also to my co-chair, to the moderator, Dr. Onimaru, and of course to the speaker. It was a pleasure to listen to you and to all the lessons that always come from Japan to, well, a Western practitioner. I enjoyed a lot, and we are in most cases aligned. But I would like to challenge you, because this is almost a circular let's say, discussion. We need to improve quality. You have been the teachers of the world towards teaching us how to observe the stomach, but still we tend to miss up to 10% of the lesions. And this is, well, worldwide, because if it's almost a paradox, we learn to say that the gastroscopy is the gold standard because of the high negative predictive value. But as we do endoscopies in a low prevalence countries, even though we have a high accuracy, we will miss most of the lesions because they are quite rare. What is in your perspective, the adjunctive effect of AI? That is, AI is there. How will AI, or how can we conduct the systems that are available to help disseminate all this knowledge? Because I do agree with you that we will continue responsible. We will be in charge of having the final word to the patient and to the society, even though, well, we have been learning with fibroscopes, then white light, now we are with chromendoscopy. So all of those are technologies, and we can also include AI in those technologies. But how can AI be guided? How can we endoscopists lead the providers of AI so that it can truly be helpful, and in which scenarios?
Yes, thank you for a nice comment and the questions. It's very important. We call the AI as intelligence, but regarding AI, they just refer to the previous images provided by our endoscopists, right? So, but we endoscopists can imagine what happened beneath the surface in pathologically, or what happens in the stomach or something, based on the situation, but AI could not do that. So we just make the AI learn to establish, to make it more precisely or more intelligent. I'm not sure it's good to say, but anyway, we always think, and we should keep on learning, and also with AI. Then I suppose that we can make AI more, much better. Right. And also there's established or that kind of hybrid, I'm not sure, but anyway, updated AI will save the patient from gastric cancer, maybe.
Yeah. No, I agree. And in general, if we could, let's say, also make the systems learn with humans and the other way around, I think this would be the perfect scenario. That is, if I'm doing an endoscopy in Porto, that endoscopy observed by the system that I would have in my office, that system should perhaps communicate with all the systems. And this is not rocket science for sure. There will be technologies allowing this. That is, once we do something that allow us to learn, the system also learns, and then all the endoscopists will learn. So I agree with you that courses like this are the most, let's say, tangible or the most visible way of, for instance, spreading. 20 years ago, we had to go to Japan, and we had to stay with some of you. Nowadays, of course, we continue to need to go to on-site visits, but also you can transmit online. Technologies like internet occurred. If we compare AI as a disruptive technology, that we are still doing the first steps. And I agree with you, AI or artificial, to drop the I of intelligence, is too artificial at this stage, because the systems learn with still images. They learn with, let's say, in expert centers. For instance, as you know, we produced a twisted systematic review of the observers that were used as gold standards to test the systems, and the missing rate is still up to 10%. So even the experts that were used to test the systems miss the lesions finally, because they were considered false negative for them. So the way I see this technology coming to our world will be in concurrency with the effect of a learning phases that is different in Japan for sure than in Portugal or in Africa, for instance, where we may argue that gastric cancer may not be a problem, but we expect that it becomes a problem paradoxically because people will get older and older. Do I have a few minutes more? 1 minute more? 30 seconds?
Yeah, it's okay. Please.
Yeah, and we discussed somehow the let's say the quality parameters that are there. How, let's say, how do you do it in real life? I know the answer for some centers, but as this will be seen in worldwide, how do you do it in your center to assure that all the upper GIs are done properly? Because, for instance, we have been seeing reports from the Western world where we measure all the metrics that we defined as quality parameters, then we teach those, or we say those results, and then we see the improvement. How do you do it in your unit? Because I think this is important, an important message to the world.
Okay, thank you for a very important question. The same as in a colonoscopy, quality control is very important also in EGD. Still, I'm not sure what is a reliable marker for the quality control of EGD, but anyway, just washing the mucosa and reduce the blind spots should be the first step to improve the quality. So actually, the AI by China suggested the blind spot during the procedure. So that should be the one, the solution to, but still the washing the mucosa is not very important, but many endoscopists are not aware of its importance, unfortunately. So I suppose from Japan and from you guys, like from experts, that we should keep on saying that wash the mucosa first. Maybe that should be the first step, and then we can establish our knowledge in this experience through the on-site training and also the online education, maybe.
Thank you. Thank you for these moments. It's always a pleasure and an honor for me personally. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So I'm afraid we don't have much time left. So I'd like to close this session by thanking all of you for your contribution. So hope you continue to enjoy Endoscopy 1 2022. Goodbye.